Congressman Mike Waltz to the program this morning. Congressman, thanks for being with us, sir.
Hey, thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. How are you doing?
Okay. So far, yeah, we're just watching the weather like everybody else. Congressman,
Right.
I wanted to jump right in and ask you about the next COVID package, the $600. Nobody seemed to agree that this was a good plan to pay people to stay home. But Congress had come up with a plan for $200, and that was rejected by Democrats. Where does this thing go now?
Well, right now, Mark, it looks like we're at an impasse at the Senate and at the White House. There was some discussion yesterday of what to do with this unemployment insurance, and the Republicans even offered in the Senate this as a standalone because the program expires or has expired, and Democrats didn't take that either. And I have to be honest with you, I don't know if that had come over the House that I would have voted for it, even though Republicans had offered it. I think we have business after business after business that I'm talking to that cannot rehire, can't get back fully to work because people are being paid to frankly to stay at home. And and don't get me wrong, many people need this assistance. But what is getting lost is they already have state assistance. The state of Florida has already distributed almost $12 billion. This is on top of it, but yet the Democrats are trying to position it as though Republicans are cutting all unemployment. This is a supplement on top of the state program. I just spoke with a landscaping business that can't hire its workforce back, and it's crushing morale of its current employees because these guys are out there in 98 degrees laying pavers and doing landscaping, and yet half of their colleagues are at home getting paid more, and it's really causing a problem across our economy.
And even if you left Florida out, Congressman, I noted that in Pennsylvania, where they have a very generous unemployment package that comes to people, we had people sitting at home getting $1,400 a week to not work. And I'm thinking that doesn't work. So that kind of backs up what you're saying. I want to pivot to Space Command. What's the latest on this that we're hearing coming to Florida?
We're working hard on it, Mark. This is one of my top priorities since I've been in office. Senator Rubio is leaning in. I am, of course. The governor is. Our cities, and counties are making the case. We'll see. The Air Force is going through its evaluation process, as we speak, and they expect an award at the end of the year of where it's going. But even if Florida isn't awarded this particular command, there are other commands that are also in consideration, one of which is called STARCOM. It's a training and doctrine command, and one thing where we just have such a tremendous advantage is our human capital with Daytona State, with Embry-Riddle, with our amazing colleges and universities, and our talent as it pertains to space that has been here since the 1960s. That's a critical resource where I think we really have an advantage. So this at command, but then others as well. We'll keep pushing for Florida and also for Volusia County.
China is very much in the news. As you've been watching, they've become very aggressive. I don't know whether, first we had this tit for tat between the two of us where we told people that they had to leave. They told our people to leave from a place in China. Then we kicked them out of Texas because they've been spying, but they're also being very aggressive at sea. And combine this with the fact that they're having food shortages, it sounds like they're going to get desperate. How tense is it right now between us and the Chinese?
Well, this is all about the leadership of President Xi, the president of China, who openly talks about realizing the China dream, which is where China calls the shots in a new world order, not the United States, and realizes, this is kind of in line with their history where China becomes really the center of global commerce and trade and really of the world. They're pressing against India, where they've had a conflict. South China Sea. They've taken Hong Kong back. We're worried about Taiwan, and I think you're about to see the administration move to kick out a number of their diplomats. They have far more here than we do over in China, and what we're looking for is reciprocity. And even the ones that we have over in China are highly restricted, while theirs here are actively spying and influencing down at the mayor and city council level all across the country. So this is long overdue, and I fully support the administration in really getting to reciprocity, is getting back to an even playing field, whether it's trade or diplomatic relations or putting, really putting our foot down when it comes to them stealing our technology. And I've passed legislation as well in this latest defense bill, as you know, that cracks down on what they're doing in our universities and research institutes.
Congressman, is their Navy growing faster than we are building our own?
That's they are putting out a ship about every 6 weeks. Their Navy isn't as good as ours yet, but it is to the point where it is bigger in terms of numbers of ships, and they can concentrate all of theirs in the Pacific, where obviously ours is spread around the world. So it's a real problem. When you have a third of 30% of global GDP flowing through Asia that they are seeking to control, that's a real issue for us. It's a huge issue. But what we have that they don't are our alliances, and that's why our alliances with the Australians, the Japanese, South Koreans, Indians are so important.
Finally, this area, your take on the congressional hearing this week that involved Attorney General Bob Barr. I have to tell you, I felt for the guy. I think he's a great American who was at a point in his life where he didn't have, and even said he didn't have anything he had to prove. The president asked him to serve. Mm-hmm. He was talking about, the violence and the rioting, and it looked like congressional Democrats wanted no part of that. They wanted to nitpick at how we collect intelligence data instead of the violence that was being perpetrated upon people, the destruction of public property, the breaking mm-hmm. and tearing down of courthouses. What's your take on how that hearing went, and did anything really come out of it?
Well, it was politics and grandstanding at its worst. They wouldn't let the man even answer their questions, and I think there was a fear on the Democrats' part that if he had answered their questions, they were actually pretty compelling, very thoughtful and very smart answers. So they, continued to cut him off. Look, at the end of the day, what I am concerned about that Barr was trying to get out was the gross abuse of power in the presidential transition that happened with President Trump, from Michael Flynn to using resources to basically surveil a presidential campaign. That needs to come to light, and that can never, ever happen again. That's the most fragile part of our democracy, when one party is handing power over to the other, and I think it was grossly abused, and it went all the way to the top. The other thing, Mark, that really bothered me is just some of this really misleading and inflammatory language the other side is using, calling federal law enforcement officers troops, calling them Trump's troops. One member even said and suggested that they're using chemical weapons, not tear gas, but chemical weapons on fellow Americans. So this is just really inflammatory stuff that they're talking about here, and it's supporting violence. We're not seeing a denunciation from the other side of the violence that's going on around the country, and that's disturbing. That's politics literally at its worst.
Very good. Congressman, thanks so much for being with us today on WNDB. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week, sir.